What is your name?
Ashley Leary,
And where do you work?
Partnership Academy,
Okay, and what grade do you teach?
3rd grade.
About how long have you been teaching third grade?
Well, I've been teaching 3rd grade 1 year, but I've been teaching 2 years, so I taught 6th grade before this, but this is only my 2nd year.
Okay, so about how many students do you teach?
Well, I have 21 in my class, but all of 3rd grade is 43, and we pretty much have them for one of the students in every class for reading or math, so I would say 43.
Okay, do you feel like some of your students are falling behind?
Yes, we have they aren't like falling behind, but they came to 3rd grade not at a 3rd grade level, and so we do a lot of extra work with them to try to get them up to grade level, but I still feel that some will graduate 3rd grade and still maybe not really be at a 3rd grade level, especially in reading. I see that mostly. We have like about 9 out of the 43, I think, that aren't going to be at a 3rd grade level by the end of the year. And in math, I teach the high math class, so I don't really know exactly how many are below grade level in math, but
Okay, why do you think they are falling behind?
well, lots of reasons. Our students typically come from homes that are more challenging environments. Most students at home, they speak Spanish, not that that's a hindrance at all, but it's harder to learn English if you haven't been hearing it at home. But once they learn English in kindergarten and stuff, it should come through. And then also, most of our students come from poverty, and so that is another issue that we face a lot.
So what do you think could be done to fix this and help your students?
At our school, we just started this year something called RTI, which is like response to intervention. So if you're not in special ed and, we feel like there's some barriers there and you're below grade level, they get extra 45 minutes 3 times a week or 2 times a week in reading. And then we have the after school program for students who are below grade level who get work on homework and on reading skills and things like that. And just like what you guys started last week is actually an intervention for some kids who aren't showing a lot of progress in their reading scores. So we're having them read even extra with you boys, and that's another measure to try to help them too. So I think what we're doing is helpful, but I really wish we had summer school because I think that would really help these students as well. And almost just like reading an extra hour a day would be ideal too. So.
Do you feel that classroom aids would help the students with their personal problems or when they have questions and help them stay caught up?
Yes, definitely. I think the more people to help in the classroom, the better things would be. Obviously, I think, ideally you'd want them to be trained in terms of, what kind of strategies to use with students and, like giving them materials. It's really hard, I think, a lot of times to provide extra materials as well if you want them working on stuff, but like how we just started doing the reading passages, that's a really good technique too. So, but it's great having, aids are definitely an asset to the classroom.
Do you feel like the school is getting enough funding?
Well, like I said with the summer school thing, I really, really think we need summer school, but it's a funding issue. We get funding from the state being a charter school, and I generally think that we're on a budget and we run a tight ship, but we do get money to give the kids the resources that I think would be equal in other school districts and in the area. But the only thing where I see a difference is in the in the summer school that we don't have. But we also provide after school program for free. All our field trips are pretty much free, and so we know that our families can't afford all that stuff, so we give a lot of our funding to those kind of things.
And I have a question. What's the difference between like a charter school and a regular school?
Yeah, so a charter school is paid for by the state, whereas public schools are paid for by the taxpayers in that district. So in Edina, the Edina people who live in Edina pay for the Edina schools in their taxes. So, but everyone pays taxes to the state of Minnesota, and that's where the money comes for our school to be here. But a charter school is based on a principle, like ours is a partnership, so we create partnerships with the community and businesses and our families, and that's kind of our mission, is to empower low-income families with a partnership in their community. So we're kind of based around a mission statement, and we're our own entity. So we have our own school board, we're our own everything, you know. Whereas public schools, you have, you know, a superintendent who's in charge of all the schools and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So it's just like its own school district, and it's paid for by the state. So it's still free, and parents just have to enroll their kids.
Okay, so back to the students. Do you think it is very important for these students to get caught up now, or will they most likely catch up later?
Well, one of the reasons why I wanted to teach third grade is because it's such a detrimental year in reading. 1 in 4 students don't go past a third grade reading level, and it's a really it's a breaking point for so many kids. And that really, if they aren't at grade level by third grade, it's going to be very hard, if not impossible, to get caught up. And so the younger they are, the better it is to try to catch them up. And again, third grade is, you want to get kids at the third grade level so they can keep advancing. Whereas, you know, like 25% of Americans are at a third grade reading level and never get past that. So I felt kind of empowered to work with third grade, because I think that it's such a crucial year in development and reading and getting kids up to where they need to be. So I definitely think at the level third grade and below is really where we need to try to catch them up.
Okay, do you think the punishment system is fair at your school, and why?
Yes, I like our behavioral system. Our director of operations is really great with the kids and doing discipline that is logical to the crime kind of thing. Whereas if a student does something that's bullying or whatever, rather than just punishing them without, you know, working on it, most of our punishments, if you say, but discipline is based on what it was that got them in trouble and how they can work through that and make progress from it. So I like that, and we have a step system where they get warnings and steps, and then if they get to step 4, we have to call the parent. And so I think ours is a good system.
Do you feel that after being reprimanded, the students make an effort to fix the problem they have caused?
Well, it depends on how they're reprimanded, I think, and it also depends on the student. If your consequences are logical, say a kid is making fun of another kid, and you say, okay, let's talk this through. You need to apologize to that student, and you also need to, if you said something mean about them, say something nice about them this time. I think that teaches them, because they don't like doing that, and they don't like apologizing, and they don't like giving people compliments as much. So I think that helps, because they don't want to face that awkward situation again. But there's definitely situations where the students don't change after they're reprimanded, and you know, it's kind of in one ear out the other. So I think it's kind of just depends on the student and the situation. And obviously you want to try to, you know, be positive with them at most situations. So
Do you think the punishment system could be improved in any way?
yeah, I think always. I mean, always there's better classroom management strategies. I think part of it just comes with time, and as being a new teacher, I think part of it's just looking and finding out what your style is and what you found to work with students. I think I've always faced those situations that I've never dealt with before, that, you know, reflecting on them makes you do a better job the next time. And I'm always trying to do better at that. And I think I'm hoping that comes with time and just experiences and figuring out some positive ways to work with the kids on that kind of stuff.
Okay, do you have any final thoughts on how your struggling students are doing in school and any ways they could learn easier?
Easier. I guess sometimes the question is that you don't know what's their barriers and like why they have so much difficulty reading. Or like one thing we've been dealing with a lot of our students who are reading at about like a first grade level is that they still can't make the B sound and the D sound. They can't distinguish between those, and that's a difficult skill like in kindergarten, but you wonder why 4 years later, why they still can't, you know, classify the difference there. And so sometimes, you know, you again will say, you know, maybe it's they have a learning disability, or maybe there's special needs that they have, but other times, you know, again, they just like their memory isn't as strong, so they just forget like the letter sounds and stuff. So I've been kind of puzzled with that, and interested to see how some of the interventions programs at our school work in the long run, because they're just starting out. So ideally you want to see in 3 years kind of how it's making a difference. But it's a big question. I mean, I don't know the answers, and I don't really know what other than all the stuff we're doing. would be really helpful for them. So, kind of just a question still out there.